Caught on camera. Harbor police arresting a man who was trespassing on a boat owned by Mark Zuckerberg. Officers say he was throwing items overboard when they got there. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Carlo Cicchetto.
I'm Marcella Lee. Police say the man was under the influence of drugs, but was taken into custody without incident. CBS 8's Steve Price joins us live from along the Embarcadero with details. Steve?
Well, Marcella and Carlo, that is one of the most expensive yachts ever built. It's owned by one of the richest people in the entire world, so that alone makes it quite an attraction out here. But this weekend, it was getting attention for all the wrong reasons.
Harbor police, with a gun drawn, arrest a man on a boat belonging to Mark Zuckerberg.
That doesn't surprise me.
Lawrence Cerna is one of several people who couldn't help but notice Zuckerberg's flotilla that's docked at the Broadway Pier, including his $300 million mega yacht named Launchpad, which is longer than a football field and reportedly has a tennis court on board.
It's nice to see wealth from the outside. You know, we'll never attain anything like that, but oh well.
The arrest happened Saturday afternoon. It's still not clear how the man got on board, but officers found him on the smallest of the three vessels at the dock. According to a statement, San Diego Harbor Police contacted a male subject identified as Christopher Garrett, who was trespassing on a boat and throwing various items into the water. Police say Garrett is also a sex offender out of compliance from the state of Florida, and they believe he was under the influence of methamphetamine at the time of his arrest. No injuries were reported.
Is Mark there?
We haven't seen him.
You haven't seen him.
Would you like to see him?
No.
It's not clear if Zuckerberg is or was in town, but his ships arrived on September 26th. Accompanying Launchpad is a support vessel called Wingman. The $300 million vessel is 220 feet long and has the important job of carrying all the toys that don't fit on Launchpad. CBS 8 reached out to Zuckerberg's company Meta to find out why the boats are here and how long they'll be sticking around, but they didn't respond to our requests for information. In the meantime, they're easy to spot at the end of Broadway, drawing a lot of attention and a little envy.
Little money, little problems. Big money, big problems. So suffice to say I have little problems in my life. So I'm okay with that.
Well, Garrett unfortunately has big problems. He is in jail right now. His bail set at $20,000. Marcella and Carlo, his arraignment is scheduled for Wednesday. By the way, we have been here pretty much all day, and they have not invited us on board for a tour. Otherwise, we definitely would have said yes and showed you what it looked like inside. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Oh, well, thanks, Steve. Right now, thousands of mental health workers for Kaiser Permanente are on strike, citing a broken system of care. The strike started earlier today with psychologists, social workers, and therapists all walking off the job. They've been without a contract for 3 weeks now. A union representing the striking workers says that Kaiser workers in Southern California do not have adequate staffing to care for their patients. Kaiser officials say the union has been slow walking the negotiation process and plan to strike even before labor talks began.
Officials from the Biden administration were here in San Diego today to announce new efforts to expand access to contraception. U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra made the announcement at Pure Care Pharmacy in Carmel Valley. He was joined by Representatives Mike Levin and Scott Peters and County Supervisor Taryn Lassa-Reamer. Right now, most private health plans cover the costs of contraception, but they often require a prescription. This new rule eliminates that requirement.
You limit access to contraceptives, you limit the care that some Americans need. We're trying to move forward with something that simply makes access to health care more affordable and more available. And the more we do that, the more America will be healthy.
The new rule will also require insurers to cover all FDA-approved drugs and drug-led combination products.
If you haven't registered to vote yet in this upcoming presidential election, you still have a few hours left. Midnight is the deadline to register online in San Diego. CBS 8's Kelly Hessedall talked to the registrar of voters about what you need to know.
Election Day is about 2 weeks away. We've seen a decent number of people here at the Registrar of Voters dropping off their mail-in ballots. Now, the deadline to register to vote online is midnight. I spoke to the Registrar of Voters earlier today, and she says things have definitely been picking up here.
The call volume has definitely picked up. People asking questions about early voting, about returning their mail ballot. So what we would expect at this time.
And you need to register to vote if you are not already registered in San Diego County, or if you've recently moved or changed your name. You can check your registration status online at sdvote.com. So early voting is well underway. As for numbers here in San Diego County, Cynthia Paz, whom you just heard from, tells me about 260,000 mail-in ballots have been returned so far. To give you some perspective, that is about 13%. If you compare that to 2020 at this time, 22% of ballots had been returned. Now, I talked to some voters out here about what issues really stand out to them, and here's what they told me.
Immigration. I'm really concerned about our economy. Making ends meet. We've got to have leaders who really care and understand what it's like for us.
Healthcare. I have a son who has special needs, and so that's like number one for me. And also our rights to our reproductive freedom, and so that's very important.
And everyone agrees this election is important. Voting is important. Now, even if you miss the deadline to register to vote, you can still vote. You can come here in person to the Registrar of Voters office or visit one of the vote centers, which begin opening up on Saturday. You could conditionally register and then cast a provisional ballot. Kelly Hessedal, CBS 8.
Thanks, Kelly. And we continue our breakdown of statewide ballot measures coming up. In our next half hour, we're going to take a closer look at Prop 32, which would raise the minimum wage.
Amid a rise in deadly fentanyl overdoses, local leaders are highlighting a new report that outlines recommendations for drug prevention and anti-overdose education programs in schools. It identifies 8 programs that schools can adopt that have proven results in benefiting students.
Programs that build resiliency from kindergarten through high school and that allow children to make the right decisions by teaching them how to say a proper no, how to refuse when they are being tempted, and how to build healthy lives that they can be proud of.
Officials say nearly 24 schools across the San Diego County have already incorporated one of the programs listed in the report. They note that number is growing and are hopeful it leads to every school in the county adopting one of the programs. San Diego Unified held a special session today to discuss a projected $176 million budget gap. The district is projecting just over $1 billion in funding, but $1.18 billion in expenses. This was caused by declining enrollment, increased student need, and a reduction in federal COVID-19 funds. One projection says this budget gap could increase to $230 million by the 2026 to 2027 school year. San Diego Unified is the second largest school district in the entire state of California, serving more than 121,000 students.
Low-income students who live in Mexico will now be able to attend community college here in San Diego at in-state tuition rates. The implementation of AB 91 was finalized at Southwestern College today. Assemblymember David Alvarez authored the bill, which was signed by Governor Newsom last year. It creates a 5-year pilot program that would allow students who live within 45 miles of the border to attend community college here and pay those in-state tuition rates.
Continue to seek those opportunities for all students. And one of those group of students we must focus on is our binational students, who are our students, who will drive us into the future.
Tuition for in-state residents is $46 a unit, while it's well over $300 per unit for out-of-state students. Coming up, another SDG&E rate hike could be on the way. How much more customers could soon be paying for gas and electricity.
Plus, what we are learning about another CDC survey on the effects of the sewage pollution in the South Bay.
And we introduce you to the Port of San Diego's newest police chief and tell you about the recognition that she's getting. That's next.
Our sunset was just a minute ago, but we are gearing up for tonight. Now, you're seeing a lack of a marine layer out there, but how much longer will that last? And also, when will temperatures take a little bit more of a turn? All those details are coming up.